Welcome to CATEX TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Wednesday, September 26, 2012. Yesterday at the United Nations, American President Obama warned the Iranians that the Americans would do whatever it needed to take in order to prevent them from unveiling a nuclear weapon. Today, the Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad is going to speak to the General Assembly. Presumably he'll answer. Also eagerly awaited is the speech from the new Egyptian President, Mohamed Morsi. Lloyd's of London has reported its highest first-half profit since 2007. This is despite the very poor investment return. They only took in about 1.2% in investment returns, but it was the lack of claims that did it. They saw a little bit of an uptick in premiums. The total pre-tax profits for the first 6 months of the year was £1.53 billion. Compare that to the £697 million loss for the first half last year. The combined ratio dropped all the way from 113% to a shade under 89%, 88.7% to be exact. Lloyd said that the impact of crop losses from the American drought wouldn't become known until the second half, but in any event, they did not expect those losses to be material. Two big blasts occurred today in Damascus, Syria at the Syrian Army headquarters. The blasts were significant enough to rattle and break windows several miles away. The Army command building was in flames. Huge columns of thick black smoke are now settling over Damascus. The rebels are saying that dozens of senior military officers have been killed. The Syrian state-run news agency is denying it. Last month, we saw disruptions to the South African platinum production because of striking miners at the Lan Min mine. Now it's spread to the gold mining industry. The platinum strike has been settled, but Anglo Gold Ashanti said that strikes in South Africa have now shut down all of its gold mining operations. South Africa is one of the world's biggest producers of gold. The labor unrest has also moved to the transport unions, with that major union saying that 20,000 rail freight and road freight employees are going to go on strike because they're demanding a 12% rate increase. In Greece today, there are massive strikes and general protests in the Central Square and Syntagma Square in Athens. These are the first protests since the new coalition government was formed at the beginning of the summer. Right now, the new coalition government is inside the Parliament building trying to work out another $15 billion in spending cuts, and the Greeks are upset. Further to the west, in Madrid, Spain, protesters have been the recipient of rubber bullets being fired by police. The police are also beating them with truncheons and batons. Thousands are rallying near the Spanish Parliament in Madrid. They formed a human chain around the Parliament, and the police ended up having to dislodge them physically. About 10 days or so ago, we barely mentioned Hurricane Nadine. For good reason. It was well out into the Atlantic. It's briefly skirted the Azore Islands. Well, the remnants of Nadine are now pounding Britain. British insurers yesterday warned the British public to take precautions against flooding as torrential rain continues to batter the British Isles. Summer has been marred by wet weather, and 2012 is on track to leave insurers with the largest bill for flood damage in 5 years. 65 areas of England are currently on flood alert, according to the British Insurance Association. There was a relatively big earthquake in Baja California yesterday afternoon at about 5 o'clock. This is the part of California that is Mexican. It was a 6.2 quake. It forced more than 1,000 tourists to flee their luxury hotels and stand on the beach seeking refuge. There were no reports of any damage or injuries, nor was there a tsunami. We read the Bermuda Gazette every day, which is published out of Hamilton, Bermuda. If you're familiar with Bermuda or look at a map, you'll notice that it is an island about 700 miles off the coast of North America. It's also located right in the middle of a number of very busy maritime shipping lanes going from Europe to South America, from North America to Africa, and North America to Asia. About once a month, there's a story in the Gazette about a ship being put into port to offload a sick crew member or somebody who has suffered an accident at sea. Yesterday, a very unusual ship, the semi-submersible load-lifting ship, the Trustee, which is a Netherlands Antilles ship, pulled into Bermuda to drop off a crew member who had suffered a leg wound. The ship is an unusual ship. It's about 216 meters long. It's got a gross tonnage of 45,000 tons. And it's one of these ships that brings up submarines and other sorts of sunken vessels that have brought themselves to the bottom of the sea. We give this story for Steve Warden at Radio Newark. I have a comment on the Royal Gazette bulletin board right now asking if anybody saw the ship, whether or not it pulled into dockside or if a helicopter was sent out to offload the crew member. That's the news for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.